Good morning, coffee fans. Happy Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Hopefully we'll get some of the West Coasters. Good to see you. Good to see you. It's me. It's me, Mitch, with I Love That Blues. I may start to open this thing up with the blues every morning. Great way to start. Great way to start. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. And as usual, drink it if you got it. Ah. God, that's great. That is so great. And people are piling in, 60 people here. Good to see you all. Good to see you. Strange day here in Florida. We have a mixture of rain, overcast, bright sun coming and going. Right now, it's a little overcast. I don't have that sun shining, and you can always tell by the incredibly bright light on this side of my face when the sun is out. So this is very comfortable out here this morning. Very nice indeed. I'm not used to doing this 2 hours later either, and I noticed a lot of you in the chat were commenting about the fact that you were here early at 8:30 and nobody was around. There was, however, a busy chat which started last night. And I usually start off with some news or topics I want to talk about, and usually go 10, maybe 15 minutes with that. But I thought I'd try something a little different today. I thought that I would start saying my hellos right off the bat to the early birds and everything, while more and more people pile in, so that when I do get to that part of the stream, there'll be more people I think might be interested in hearing some of the things I have to say today. I'm going to talk a little bit about some news about Ozempic. I'm going to talk about, of course, the number one topic on all of our minds, the drones over New Jersey. And hopefully try to give you a little more insight as I learn more and more and hear more and more conjecture about what really is going on. It's something we just can't ignore because it's just all over everywhere. And virtually every conspiracy theorist is out there with something. And of course, anytime there's a conspiracy theory, there are a huge number of people that go, yeah, aliens. Yeah, could be. That's probably what it is. It's probably aliens. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I took some pictures of some drones today. I want to show you some of those, maybe give you a little idea about what we're really looking at. I know it's kind of off topic for this channel, but I try to stay on top of things and be topical. I can only tell you eat meat so many times in an hour and 15 minutes and not get too boring, So let me start right out here with our first early bird stick man's garage. How you doing? And that was last night at 9:55, right after I created the stream. Had a great live stream last night. I didn't expect it to be great. I had nothing to say. I was tired. I was only going to do an hour. An hour and 45 minutes later, we're still going. And it appears everybody had a good time. So sometimes, maybe I don't have to be the prime source of entertainment. Maybe you guys can be the prime source of entertainment in the chat. And I just participate as one of the gang. It was fun. I had thought about bringing people into a panel, but then I said, no, I don't have the energy for that tonight. Got a good night's sleep last night, though. Wow. Great night's sleep. But I was still up at, I think I got out of bed about 5:45. So hopefully I'm getting back on my schedule. Don Lee is here. How you doing, Don? Last night also, and at 10:47, Tuca chimed in from Finland, which is the middle of the night in Finland. The man never sleeps, never sleeps. Lady June was here at 11:41 last night. Good to see you. And Ellen chimed in. Ellen chimed in as well. At 2:19 a.m., Lucy. Good morning, you bacon-loving bunch. Yes, and at 4:20 a.m., Donita Tess chimed in and just saying hi to everybody. I'm one of the Insomniacs list today. Yes, you are. Crazy Cold, Wisconsin. Always listen after work on my way home. Well, you must work the graveyard shift. Papa Carnivore popped in at 4:44 a.m. Stickman, you are the earliest bird today. You were. Peter slept through our live stream last night. That's interesting. Wayne Herman said, good morning, Mitch. Approaching 6 o'clock. Says only 4 more hours. Yeah, I know. I've been up and waiting those 4 hours myself. Gave me time to watch the news, learn more about drones over New Jersey. Greg Smith. Greg Smith's in North Carolina. Wow, that man gets around. How you doing, Greg? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, it's foggy, and I hear it's going to cool down a little bit, and then it's going to warm up a little bit. And I heard on the weather that next week they're going to have temperatures 20 to 40 degrees above normal all the way up into Canada. Just goes, the old saying says, you know, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. Feral Grandma was here. Marla Kelly, how you doing, Marla? Good to see you. And at 7 a.m., Sandy Blythe checked in. We had Mike Seeley from Tampa. Slept in this morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. Terry Sue. Feral Grandma's still waiting. Gina Cav. How you doing, Gina Cav? And Rick from Miami chimed in. Good morning. I will be out working while this is on. Well, we all got to work sometime, Rick. I'm always working while this is on. Imagine that. Patty Molden checked in. And at about 8:15, Richard Williams says, good morning, everyone, you two old fart. I don't deny it. I do not deny it. Who is this? Steve Studley. Please pass the butter and the salt. Two very good things. He says it's dark and cold here in Denver, and we have, who is this? Who is this? Ketra Naylor, how you doing? Good morning to you. And Steve Rogers, Captain America from Kansas City, Missouri. Good to see you. Edward Renner checked in. Joseph Stevens checked in. And everybody's already started chatting. 8:34, 1 hour and a half before the stream. You guys were at it. And the only person wasn't there was me. Sorry about that, guys. Ribeye Susie was here. William McCartney checked in. Says, good morning, everyone. My buddy Cliff Medina's here. Cliff keeps me very informed on his opinions about these drones. Dolly is here. Retired Rick is here. DS111, Mitch is having a romantic walk through the meat aisle. Someone should tell him to use up what he already has. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I didn't go to Sam's Club this morning. I still got plenty of food. I don't want to use it all up because it's like money in the bank. You know, it's nice to have it there because you never know when they're going to create some shortage of something again. Another false flag operation, propaganda, but they keep doing it. One day it's eggs. Next day, cows have all contracted the avian flu or something. It's nuts. CB Carmack. How you doing, CB? Good to see you. Those are some great pictures that you sent me, which I showed on my live stream last night of his before and after, and it's truly amazing. Truly amazing. Lynn Gerber's here. Now we're at 9:15. Rick checked back in. I guess still hot and sunny in Miami, but I guess he's out working. Harry, Dion, good morning to you. Glenn Ish. Hi, Glenn. How are you? Good to see you this morning. Glenn has a question. Did you watch Ken Berry, The Carnivore Diet, Frequently Asked Questions for Beginners? 33 common questions answered. Wow, everyone should watch it. Probably should. Probably should. I haven't watched it yet. I've probably heard everything that he says in that video on some of his previous videos, and I just hope he didn't say anything in those 33 common questions that directly contradicted some of the advice that I give. I can't imagine, but let me know if he did and what it was. Because you can't agree 100% with everybody. Each of us, we all, at least those of us on carnivore like me, who's wildly different than most, I imagine, we can't agree with everybody else. I have my own take on so many aspects of this lifestyle. And that's what I talk about. And of course, I always give you my disclaimer that it's my opinion. And the things that have worked for me. Glenn's going to light a cigar and wait. Always. Always a relaxing thing to do. Always. And Gary Hall is here. Good morning to you. Says, I can see you all have sleeping problems. Wanda Girling, how you doing? Good to see you. And Dixie Scott wishes us all a happy hump day. And even this old fart chimed in. Said, good morning, coffee fans. Aaron is here. Booby Goats, good to see you. And Lorraine Borneo, good morning, Mitch and gang. I haven't seen, well, there's Ellen. Ellen is back in the chat. Good morning, Ellen. Good to see you. Good to see you. Always love to see you in here. And who else haven't I said hi to this early? We're at 9:59 in the chat, just about ready to start. Peter chimed back in and says hi. Says hi, and now people are saying hi to Peter. Mitch, Gary Hall, did you ever smoke a pipe? There's nothing like starting a round of golf with a cigar or a pipe. Yeah, cigars are very, very popular. I think a cigar is better suited to the golf course, and they actually sell these clips, cigar clips that have magnet things on them, or clips that you can clip onto your golf cart to hold your cigar while you're smoking. Most golf pro shops sell cigars. It is terrific. And yes, I did smoke a pipe way back. In the latter days of my military career in the late 60s, I started smoking a pipe because all the guys were smoking pipes, and I just thought that was cool. And I never smoked anything before I started smoking a pipe. And that started me on a lifetime of smoking cigars, but I don't regret it. I think it's added a lot of enjoyment to my life, a lot of social aspects of it. Hanging out with the boys at the cigar lounge. In fact, back when I lived in Orlando, was in the computer business, my whole entire circle of friends, other than a few close personal friends that I had for years, the entirety of the couples that we would go out with to dinner revolved around the cigar guys. And we would go to places like Morton's Steakhouse, where they had a cigar room in the back, and you could sit there for 3 hours and eat a fabulous meal. And then after dessert, they'd bring out the brandy and the port wine, and we'd all light up cigars and sit there for another hour. It was a bygone age that it's a shame too. It's a shame too. Some of the best times I remember from that era, but they've outlawed all of that now, just like they try to outlaw everything I want to do. They figure out a way to make a law against it. I don't care if it's owning a cigar company that makes cigars, trying to fly drones, you name it. Mitch gets involved, government's going to come in and make some kind of law against it. That shows you what kind of maverick and outside of the box guy I've always been. Jason H is here. How you doing, Jason? Good to see you. Good to see you. And Sandy Blythe is here. Got 104 people. It was 10 a.m. The stream just started. I'm going to break off there. I'm going to break off there. Now that I got 100 people watching. If you have a question for me, put QQQ, capitals, before it in the chat. I've been doing pretty good at catching them. I don't think I've missed too many, and I'm going to stay here today as long as it takes to make sure we address everything that any of you have brought up. So QQQ in the chat. Always sip on your coffee if you got it. Very good. Speaking of coffee, how was that for a smooth segue? I'm going to put a link in the chat. If you like what I do, if I've helped you, if you want to say thank you, if you want to help support my efforts here to do this, there's a link in the chat to buy me a coffee. I always appreciate it, guys. And in return, like I always say, I don't burden you with all these mid-roll ads that pop up all the time. I don't have sponsors for this channel that pay me a bunch of money to say things like, good morning, everybody. This video is brought to you by, and then launch immediately into a commercial while you're waiting to get to the point, because most of us YouTubers know how impatient the general public is, and I know from both directions because I'm just as damn impatient when I click on a video to watch it. I do not want to sit and listen for five minutes to this guy's commercial, for him telling me I need to subscribe, click the button, share the video. 10 minutes in, we might get to the point. Now, I'm guilty of that sometimes, but at least during the time that I'm getting to the point of the video, I try to be interesting and maybe entertaining, at least. So I have the buy me a coffee thing. Before the end of the stream, if I don't catch them when they come in, I will go over it and certainly thank everybody personally for that. Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. Let me look at my show notes here, because I do have some show notes here today. Mark Whistler just sent me an email. Okay, your cups are in Orlando now, I guess, if you can trust the tracking. Wow, he wrote me a long email. I'll read. He told me evidently, look how long that email is. He told me evidently the whole story of trying to get me these coffee cups, which is quite an adventure. I'm going to treasure this coffee cup when I finally get it as one of my most valuable possessions, if for no other reason than the sheer determination and work that my friend Mark Whistler put in just trying to get me these things. Thank you, Mark. Always thank you. Always thank you. Ozempic. Ozempic is in the news today. And let me see if I can find this here real quick. Let me see if I can find, and I want to show you something. Yes, here's the headline, and I'm going to throw it up on the screen there, and it says, and this is just a screenshot and not the whole article. Healthy Returns is the title. Healthy Returns. Novo Nordisk's Ozempic faces scrutiny over potential link to a rare eye condition. The name of that rare eye condition is so long that I don't think I could even remember it, to tell you the truth, let alone pronounce half the words in it. But it's a condition evidently where the front part of your eye, of your optic nerve, gets way too much blood. And it's not a good thing. And they have been evidently getting more cases of this reported since people started using Ozempic. Now, this alone, because it's a very rare condition, and I think they said maybe 10 to 15 people out of 1,000 will get it. I got news for you. If you go blind because you're one of the 10 to 15 people who are taking Ozempic because you can't stop eating the foods you're addicted to, you're not going to be real happy about that. But you know, like in war, they have acceptable casualties, and the drug industries do the same thing. They have acceptable acceptable casualties. How many of those acceptable casualties do we even ever hear about? How many doctors actually report these things because they know it would affect their business if they had to stop prescribing these drugs? They make tons of money prescribing these drugs. Do we hear 1 out of 10? So you take these numbers when they say 10 to 15 people out of 1,000, and yeah, and I would multiply them by 5 or 10, and that's probably the real number. So many of these things get misdiagnosed. They never find a cause to attribute it to. So many reasons why these things somehow never make it into statistics. Anyway, I thought that would be interesting to mention. I got a comment on a video. Somebody tried to order that 11-inch Mueller stone ceramic frying pan that's so popular and everybody buys the hell out of. Well, you people buy too many of them because evidently Amazon is out of stock on them right now. Every time I find out they're out of stock, I go into my website and edit that link and try to find another version of it. They have a 10.5-inch version, an 11-inch version, a 12-inch version. One's as good as the other, and sometimes the prices are better on maybe the smaller one or the bigger one for some reason. I don't know how they do that. But if you go to that link, if you're interested in that frying pan, and you go to that link and it says out of stock, in that link itself, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see selections where they show all the different sizes, and one or more of those is bound to be in stock. And if it's something you can't wait for it to come back in stock, just get us the 10.5-inch one or the 12-inch one, and you'll probably be just as happy. It'll probably be about the same price. I can't keep chasing it. I can't keep having to go in there and edit that link to a different one, because then that one's out of stock, and I get a comment saying, well, the frying pan in your link is out of stock. I can't put all the links in my thing. It would be a frying pan bonanza in there, and I don't want to take up all that room. So anyway, just a side note. Now, let's get to, let's start talking. Let's talk for a minute or two. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go back and say hi to some more people and look for a question or two. And I'll get to the drone stuff at some time, because I could get started on that, and I don't want to take up this whole stream talking about drones. But there are a few things I wanted to show you that I think you might find really interesting, and hopefully maybe answer some of your questions, or not. Again, my opinion. It's my opinion. So let's see, where was I in the chat? I was right at 10 o'clock. I was right at 10 o'clock saying DS111 Victoria Ortiz is here, and John Logan. Ellen said hi to me. Danny in Boston's here. How you doing? And Sammy Shuford's here. Hi. I said Tammy because I saw the T in Tina, and Sammy came out with the T. Sammy Shuford, how you doing? And Tina Schweikerath, good to see you. Good to see you. Here's a cool one. I don't believe I've seen it. Yes, I have. I've seen it. From Peoria, Illinois, at work. Carnivorous cat mom. Ellen reminds you to put QQQs in front. Always good advice. Okay, glad to hear that, DS111. You like the music better. Well, I got all kinds of music here. I can play all kinds of different music for you guys. I have this one. For those of you who decide you maybe want to relax a little bit. Isn't that nice? Pretty. This gets prettier too. I have this one. Another. And these are just programmed to buttons on my mixer. I can just push a button and call them up at any time. Isn't that beautiful? And all this music was sent to me by the person that recorded it, and it should be copyright free. Isn't that great? Anyway. But I like the blues. I think the blues really is a nice way to start. It reminds me of Imus in the Morning. And I used to love to listen to Don Imus. He was a wild man. And he always played some kind of blues in the morning, and I'm sure the blues that he plays is copyrighted, so I can't play that. Good morning, Tom. How you doing? Viking 442 from Tampa. Ted M is here. We got 126 people here. Not bad for a Wednesday. Wednesdays were traditionally a little slower than the other days because I think the brunt of my audience is the earlier people who got who like it early in the morning, and I do too. But I do this on Wednesday so I can go to Sam's. Didn't go to Sam's today. Didn't need anything. I shopped last week. I got everything I need. I'm good probably till next Wednesday, so no problem. I think maybe I might have to pick up a few eggs, but I still got maybe 3 dozen eggs left. So I don't know if that's going to last me. Should last me to next Wednesday because I usually eat 5 of these large pasture-raised eggs a day. DY also forgot Wednesday was later. Well, that's why I'm sticking to it. I want people to maybe try to remember. Not that it's all that an important thing in most of your lives. Gina Cavis here. How you doing, Helen? Hot stuff. Good to see you. Dixie Scott says cold and windy, but sunny and dry here. Well, that's nice. That's nice. Cavi is here. Good to see you up in Jacksonville. Sigrid Toms. And these are the people that came on as soon as I went live. I'm up to 10:04 in the chat. Question, Papa Carnivore. If you could list the top 5 challenges or pitfalls to starting or following a carnivore way of life, what would they be? Peter? The top 5, that's the kind of question I don't even want to attempt to answer that here. That would be a half hour speech. And if you've watched any of my videos, and anybody has, you would know the top pitfall. And I'll talk about that for a second. The one main reason why people fail on carnivore or any other diet, the overarching king of reasons, maybe 10 times greater than this, whatever's in second place. Say it with me, folks. Say it with me. Carbohydrate addiction. It's a problem because most people don't even know what it is because nobody outside of our little Murray band here talks about it much at all. They mention it in passing. Most of them call it food addiction. It's just not even a thing, in my opinion. It is the carbohydrate addiction that causes you to fall off the wagon. Just like the alcohol addiction causes an alcoholic to fall off the wagon. Why would any alcoholic, if he wasn't haunted by the cravings from that addiction, why would they give up 5 years of sobriety in a moment of weakness? Same thing is true for carbs, but even more so. It is the reason. It is the reason people are going to, this holiday season is going to claim so many victims that might have been doing well because they're going to be triggered everywhere they look and everywhere they go, and their cravings fed by these addictions are going to take away all their common sense and reason, and they're going to make the same New Year's resolution they have made every year for most of their lives, and that is, I'm just going to enjoy myself and start again after the first of the year. That is the number one problem, so far ahead of whatever comes in second place. It's really all you need to talk about, Peter. I hope that answered that question. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I appreciate the fact that you ask these questions that you know will send me down a path of what I think is good advice. So thank you for that. And everybody's saying hi to everybody, and Ellen is still here. Deborah Miller, good morning. Good morning from Bend, Oregon. Good to see you. Larry Stats. Are pork rinds okay to eat? Pork rinds are the crunchy savior of the carnivore lifestyle. Not only are they okay to eat, they're actually healthy and good for you. They are all protein and fat. And there's a lot of protein in pork rinds. That's primarily what a pork rind is. A lot of people don't realize this. They take a piece of pork skin that's got maybe a bunch of subcutaneous fat in it. They cut it up into small pieces, and they render it in that fat that comes out of it, just like bacon cooks in its own fat. You don't need to cook bacon in any kind of other fat. You just throw the bacon in the frying pan, and before you know it, you got a frying pan full of bacon grease. Well, that's what happens to the pork rinds, and pretty soon they're cooking in their own. And then the next batch that comes along, they can just throw into the same grease that's left from the last batch of them that were in their big cooker, until they have to empty out some bacon or pork skin grease. And what happens is that the fat renders out of the skin. And what a lot of people don't realize is that we have got, everywhere that there's subcutaneous fat, something has to hold those fat cells in position. Otherwise, they would be a big glob of stuff that just kind of ran down and all settled at the bottom. And we'd all look very funny with our stomachs hanging around our knees and fat ankles. And the thing that holds the fat cells in place in all fat is a scaffolding matrix of protein. A protein matrix that crisscrosses everywhere and holds these things up. Well, when you render the fat out, the only thing that's left is that protein matrix and some fat, a little bit of fat, but most of the fat's rendered out. And where the fat was, you get air. And that's what makes a pork rind so light and crunchy. But it's protein. It's health food. Honest to God, it's health food. Excuse me, folks. Get a little itchy nose every once in a while. Maybe I got a wild mustache here that's decided to drive me nuts. That happens sometimes. So yes, pork rinds are great. Just make sure you get clean pork rinds. Look at the labels on the pork rinds. Make sure they don't flavor them up with anything. Make sure that they don't fry them. You don't see that they have seed oils as an ingredient. But most pork rinds, why would they do that? Why would they do that? The ones I get at Sam's Club had nothing on the label. Now it says smoky flavor added. I don't know what that means. I still eat them, but I'm not happy about it. The Clancy's pork rinds that I buy at Aldi don't have anything. They're just fried in their natural lard or pork fat that renders out of them. So that's a great question. And no, don't fear the pork rinds. Use the pork rinds to make your life easier for you. I take pork rinds. I put a slice of smoked salmon on them, make a little hors d'oeuvre out of it. They're great. They're a cracker substitute for carnivores that are healthy for you. Good question. Good question. And keep them coming. Keep them coming, guys. Mark Whistler's here. Hiya, Mark. How you doing? Morning all cups are in Orlando, but I'll bet the Pony Express here is tired. Yeah, Christmas time. I'll probably get them tomorrow and Friday morning. I will probably be drinking out of one of them and thanking you profusely. Arizona Dreaming is here, still in Wisconsin. I said it yesterday. What a commute. What a commute from Arizona to Wisconsin. I'm just kidding. I know he's just dreaming about Arizona, but working in Wisconsin. William McCartney says, I was viewing some YouTube live and came onto a vegan live from Amsterdam. I made one comment and was shadowed, so I shadowed all admins. Fight. Yes, yes. They don't want to hear that stuff, no more than I want to hear vegan. And that's what they believe in. And to them, it's like a religion. And I think carnivore is almost like a religion to me anymore. I wouldn't do anything else. I thoroughly believe it. I believe in it. Ryan Fechner, how you doing this morning? Good to see you. Watching Kilts, debating with Simon Hill on the Ellen Fisher podcast. I have no idea what that was or what they were debating about. But I try not to debate with anybody about anything. Give my opinions, things that work. If you think differently, good luck to you. We all need to come to our truth in our own way. We can't have it jammed down our throat, especially in these debates and reaction videos. They turn me off so bad. You never see me doing any of that. That's why I do so few interviews, or I do no interviews on my channel, and very rarely do I go on somebody else's channel to do an interview. They blocked the comment, he said. DS111, my teenage daughter had a conflict yesterday, both in and out of the supermarket. She thinks my issue is the expense, but it's not that. It is what she insists on me buying for her. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I remember those days. Looking for questions. Sherry Morgan, I'm glad to see you're here, sweetie. Good to see you. This Wednesday morning is for you. It's for you in California. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. I got some coffees here. Let me say thank you. Let me say thank you. And BMAT bought me a coffee. He says, enjoy the coffee, Mitch. 3 coffees. BMAT bought me 3 coffees. Thank you, my friend. Very generous. Lorraine Borneo bought me a coffee. Says, you help me stay on track with my carnivore efforts. Thank you. That makes me happy to hear. That really makes me happy to hear. Thank you, Lorraine. Sherry Morgan bought me a couple of coffees. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much. Here's a little pocket change for the epic morning blues music. Wishing you a beautiful day. P.S. If you have any non-copyrighted holiday music, please send it my way. I don't, Sherry. I don't have any holiday music. I'm not a religious guy. I don't listen to holiday music. I hear it everywhere I go, and I can't wait for it. Believe it or not, call me Scrooge. I just can't wait for the holidays to be over and to let us go back to our normal lives. So anyway, thank you guys for the coffees. Very much appreciated. Don't stop now. This is a good excuse for me to put that link back up in there for all you new people, 122 of you. Let's check over on Rumble and see who's over there in the chat. I'm not ignoring you guys. I am live over there. Rod Weeder says good morning, folks. Ellen is over there. No Slow's over there. Mike Seeley from Melbourne Senior is over there. Papasek, good morning from Toronto. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Thank you for being in Rumble. 17 people watching in Rumble. That's great. That's great. 10:12. I'm only 30 minutes behind in this chat here. So I'm going to start speeding it up. And if I get anywhere, I may take some time out today and talk about those drone things. I may not. Here's a question. Because carnivore is more important. QQQ, do you have children and or grandchildren? Do they support your nutritional lifestyle? The answer to the children and grandchildren is yes and yes. My grandchildren could care less. My grandchildren could care less. That's how children are. My grandchildren are in their 20s, in their early 20s. They both have their lives. My grandson is an athlete who, at his age, just eats everything, every kind of junk food imaginable, never puts on an ounce, and plays lacrosse. He doesn't give a second thought to the food he puts in his mouth. He's off at college, so who knows what he's doing in the dorm rooms. My granddaughter has a weight problem. She doesn't, I don't know. She's very reclusive, a very brilliant young lady, but she has her own ideas about everything, and nobody can tell her anything. let alone her parents, and especially her old grandpa. So that's my relationship with my grandchildren. My children both need to be doing carnivore exclusively, both know that it's the right thing to do, both agree with me, and both agonize over the fact that they cannot beat down their addictions. And for fear of not alienating both of them, I don't nag them. I answer something if they ask. I wish them the best. And it breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. And I've said this before, to think that if things keep going the way they're going, I'll be one of those guys that has to bury his own children. And that would be probably the end of my life too, because without them, I would probably have a hard time thinking of a reason why I want to stick around any longer, especially if I'm 100 years old at the time. Anyway, it's very sad, but it's a very common problem. Our friends don't want to hear about this. Our family doesn't want to hear about this. Even if they don't think we're crazy, they don't want to do it because they're carbohydrate addicts. Period. Period. And until we start elevating carbohydrate addiction to its rightful #1 cause of health problems in the United States and start addressing it as the #1 problem, demote alcoholism down, way down on the list. But that message is never allowed to get out because all of the messaging is controlled by all of the money, and all of the money is in the pockets of the big food companies, the big pharma companies, and the politicians, and all the middlemen in between. So, will it ever be solved? I'd love to see it in my lifetime, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sherry says, hi, Ellen. Good question, though. Good question. And I'm honest about all this stuff. I don't sugarcoat anything. Glenn Ish asks me if I remember Captain Black pipe tobacco. Do I remember Captain Black? You mean that tobacco that came in the white pouch with the black writing on it? That's what I smoked. That was my pipe tobacco. It's probably the most popular pipe tobacco on the planet. And pipe tobacco is getting almost impossible to find anymore. Most stores don't even want to carry it because there's such little demand, and you have to buy most of it mail order, and it's gotten so friggin' expensive. Everything's getting expensive. But no, yes, I remember Captain Black. Sherry Morgan says this is way too early. Well, that even makes me appreciate the fact that you're up even more, Sherry. Thank you. Thank you so much. Scotters here says, good morning all, and I'm looking for questions. BMAT chimed in. Good morning. How you doing? Good to see you. Laurie's Carnivore Story. This video is brought to you by Element. Now that's funny. That's very clever. Rhonda, good morning, Rhonda. How you doing? Free Text Senate, watch your video on statins. I feel it'll be difficult to convince people about statins and cholesterol levels and the benefit of carnivore. Hopefully, Kennedy makes some changes. They're not even talking about statins at that level yet. They're still talking about food dyes and pesticides, which are worth talking about. But again, if you put carbohydrate addiction at the top of the list as the primary cause of all of our health problems, as the reason people can't eat healthy because they are just slaves to these carbs, and put food dyes and pesticides on that list, they would be somewhere around 1,000 or more down on the list of the real problems. And it would be too expensive for most of our economy to even acknowledge that these real problems even exist, which diminishes the likelihood we're ever going to solve them. But we can solve them for ourselves. We could solve them for ourselves. Peter asked me a bathroom question. Oh, Peter. almost escaped the whole live stream without poop talk. What advice do you give to people who are having loose stools or GI discomfort in the early weeks or months of carnivore, especially those with no gallbladders? Well, we talked about that. I can't answer that here. You know the answer to that question as well as I do. Too much fat's not being digested. You're going to suffer through a week or two, maybe 3, maybe even a month of loose stools and diarrhea as your gut and your gut biome readjust to this new way of eating. As far as gallbladders go, if you don't have a gallbladder in time, you will probably develop a pseudo gallbladder as the biliary duct from the liver to the gallbladder expands out and becomes and takes over the functions of storing bile until it's needed. So if it never goes away, if you continue to have that problem after a month or two, chances are you're eating too much fat. Or you have some other medical condition, or you're on some kind of a drug that has that as a side effect. So I hope that answers that question. Kathy's here, Florida. How you doing, sweetie? Good to see you. Very happy to kick off commercials and videos. Not pay $9.90 a month to YouTube. Been doing that for 3 years. Yeah, I do. And my YouTube is now $15 a month, so I don't have to watch commercials. But I also get a couple of other little benefits from that I think, you got to spend some money somewhere. I don't subscribe to hardly anything, but I do that because they have YouTube Music, which replaces so many of these music apps like Pandora, iHeartRadio, and those things, which are usually $10 a month. And I get all the music I can listen to, stream, no commercials, no anything on YouTube Music. And they actually come up with some halfway decent movies that I can watch. So between the no commercials, the movies, YouTube is probably my main source of entertainment. I don't have cable TV. I don't watch Netflix. Because I'm an Amazon Prime member, I do get Amazon Prime, and I watch some stuff on that. But that's about it for me. So I don't mind paying it. But a lot of people don't want to, and I just can't put up with all that. Watching the first 6 seconds of an ad and then getting the option to skip, and then, God forbid, they don't give you the option to skip and you're stuck watching a 2-minute ad. An ad about something like the latest weight loss drug, which just causes our blood pressure to go up. Susan Ivy, good morning. How are you doing? How am I doing? 10:20. I am still almost 30 minutes behind. Wow. Carnivorous Cat Mom has a question. I don't guess we're going to get to the drone talk today, guys. I'll do that tomorrow. The drones aren't going anywhere. I have been doing carnivore since July, down 20 pounds, but still battling cravings. Do you think it could be the creamer I am using? If you're using, when you say creamer, do you mean that, and we used to have a name for that. I never heard anybody else use it lately. We used to call that wallpaper paste, because that's what it is. You can use that stuff for glue. You can mix it up and hang wallpaper with it. There's so much shit and chemicals in that powdered creamer, and there's bound to be sugar in there. If I had to guess, I would say certainly, absolutely, until you stop using that creamer. Go to the grocery store, buy yourself a pint or a quart of heavy whipping cream. Use a tablespoon of that in your coffee. Or throw butter in your coffee. Throw only fat in your coffee. And see if that doesn't help your cravings. Also, when you get these cravings, follow my advice. Start eating and eat until you're satisfied. Make a meal out of it. No snacking. And the cravings should go away. But as long as you keep eating anything that feeds your cravings, every time you do that, your mind is the fact that that crap that you're addicted to still exists puts you back to square one almost. It's the little things that sabotage us. So yes, I would absolutely say, and I can't tell you for certain if that's why your cravings aren't, but if you follow my first 30 days directions, like throw away the scale, whenever you feel hungry, eat, have food ready all the time, have hamburger patties, bacon, hard-boiled eggs ready to eat. If you go out, carry some with you in a Ziploc bag. When you start eating, Don't stop eating until you feel satiety, and that will make the cravings go away, at least in my experience. So simple. But anything, any manufactured powder of any kind, even most of the electrolyte mixes today, have something in them that you don't want. That's why I mix my own electrolyte. Good question, though. Good question. Rhonda says, Mitch, you sold all their pans. I tried to get some for my kids. Go look for the different size ones and see if they don't have those. What are you going to do? 'Tis the season. 'Tis the season. Question. Mitch, what time do you eat breakfast? Thanks for all you do. Ribeye Susie, you're welcome, Susie. Breakfast for me is my first meal of the day, whatever time it happens to happen. And I usually eat between 11 and 12. It's almost 11 now. I'm not hungry at all. If I didn't eat until 1 or 2, I'd be okay. But I like to get my eating done for the day by no later than 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock at the latest. And I don't like to eat unless 3 or 4 hours have gone by since my last meal, because I don't snack. It's another one of my firm tenets. And there's many reasons for that. It's all about digesting the food you do eat and getting the nutrients out of it before you start stuffing more undigested stuff on top of it. So in order for me to be done by 5 and have 3 to 4 hours between meals, I endeavor to eat my first meal between 11 and 12, maybe stretch it to 1 o'clock at the latest. I'm never hungry. I'm never hungry for my second meal. And I say this quite often. I say, my version of hunger, if somebody ever asks me, any time of the day or night, no matter how long it's been since I've eaten, even if it was a day, even if I somehow forgot to eat today and got into tomorrow morning with a 30-something hour fast behind me, and somebody says, Mitch, aren't you starving? I would say, well, I could eat. And that's as hungry as I ever get. And that's the greatest freedom that human beings can face, is never panicking or feeling hunger because we're starving like we do when we're living on sugar only. And I won't get into that whole speech right now, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason why when you're eating a carnivore lifestyle, after it settles in and after you've been doing it for a while, hunger, real hunger, becomes a thing of the past for you. I'm not the only one that's experienced that. Most successful carnivores will tell you exactly the same thing. They may not understand the physiology behind it, but they understand the fact that they're not thinking about food all the time like they used to. Scotter says, I'm glad to have been pulled in now that I'm here. Hey, Scotter, welcome. That reminds me of the line from the Godfather movie where he says, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. One of the greatest movie lines of all times. Sherry recognized that wasn't Kenny G. It was not Kenny G. It was just somebody that sounded like Kenny G. And Rick corrected you and says, yes, sounds like Kenny G. I hadn't read that yet, but it's nice to know that some of you out there have good ears. But yeah, I thought it was Kenny G at first in a short little listen, but then as I heard the rest of the song, I realized it wasn't. And most of his stuff, it just bores me. I'm not a big Kenny G fan. Once you've heard a couple of his songs, they all sound the same. But Harry Dion disagrees. He thinks Kenny G is great. Somebody must think he's great because he is very popular. Mark Booth, hey Mark, good to see you, man. Good morning. Good morning. Kathy recommends blue light blockers. They might work for you. They might work for you. Cliffco says, It's Russian information again. Yeah, talking about the drones. Well, that's what they say everything is when they don't want to explain it. It's Russian misinformation. Yeah. Could be. Could be. You don't think we spread American disinformation in Russia? Any rate, how am I doing? 10:26, still a half an hour behind. Man, I can't keep up with you guys. Okay, I'm at the point right now where I need to start scrolling fast. I need to start scrolling fast. I'm going to keep the politics out of it. Richard Williams feels my pain and says, everything I like more is either illegal or costs more. Yeah, it's true. Story of my life. Story of my life. Sherry bought a bag of golden nuggets, and Sandy Blythe immediately asked, are they pork rinds? And Sherry answered, I'd never heard of golden nuggets. Golden nuggets are microwave pork rinds and pop up in the microwave. Holy cow. Is there any, Sherry, is there, that sounds cool. Is there anything of interest that we might not want to eat in them on the ingredient list? And then Sherry said, yes, Sandy, huge fail. Okay, I'm disappointed now. I'm not going to worry about it. I saw them. I bought a bag on Amazon for $50. And we try all kinds of ways to make them work. Oh, man, I'm definitely not going to buy them, Sherry. Thank you for the scout work on that one. Keep me from a very frustrating adventure that I don't think I need in my life. I'm looking for more questions. A lot of chat. And you guys get chattier every day, and that warms my heart. Speaking of warming my heart, holy cow, do you know what time it is? Does anybody know what I forgot to do? Anybody? I can't believe it. You guys have kept me so busy. I forgot to light my cigar. Excuse me while I light my cigar for a second. Because I'm going to be around a little while longer, evidently. Got a long way to go here. Get tired of that song. I never get tired of that song. I love those. I love Latin rhythms. I actually play Latin percussion. I do. I have 2 sets of bongos in my house. And I drag them out and play along with so much of that kind of music. I don't know where I got this musical taste of mine, but it's probably a mix of so many of my ancestors over time. Okay, where were we? Ellen, Booby, Goats. Talking. I gotta go faster. Go faster, Mitch. Brian Fender, there's some cues. Been carnivore since November 1st. I often have diarrhea. Any comment on that, Mitch? I try lowering your fat percentage just a little bit and see what happens. If you're constipated, you're not eating enough fat. If you have loose stools, most of the time you're eating too much fat. So you might want to, I don't know, maybe you're drinking coffee with butter every morning or a lot of heavy cream, or you're just eating too much fat. I would cut back on that and see the difference. But you're going to have to give it a week or two to average out and see if that helps. But that would be my answer or my advice to that. And that's pretty standard advice and advice I feel safe in giving, unless there's something else in your medical history or your lifestyle that may be causing that. This comment must have come in when I was talking about my grandkids. Yes, all children think that they're smarter than their parents, and their parents are annoying. I heard an old saying once. It's one of these wise sayings. It just makes so much sense. It's when a kid's growing up and they come out and say, you know, I just noticed the older I get, the smarter my parents become. And that says it all. We're talking biochemistry in here. We're talking rain and weather. I'm sitting here puffing on a cigar looking for questions. I can't address all of the topics you guys are talking about. I'd be here until tomorrow morning. Grey Wolf here says, drones are Chinese. They are getting ready to attack us. Well, you got the first part of that right, I think. Most of the drones flying around come from DJI. Pretty much all the drones that the government is using actually come from DJI, and they're trying to pass a ban on DJI drones because they think they're spying on us. But they do make the best drones. They do make the best drones. And speaking of drones, I'm going to show you one thing. I'm going to show you one thing here. And I hope this actually shows up. I'm going to put it on the screen for you. They talk about 6-foot drones flying around. And most people say, a 6-foot drone? I can't imagine that. Well, there it is. That's a 6-foot drone. That's a delivery drone. It's the biggest drone that DJI makes. It's a Chinese drone. It's got 8 motors. It'll carry almost a 100-pound payload. And it's designed for drone delivery. And these types of things are replacing helicopters now. The drone costs, bare bones with almost nothing on it, $22,000. Not a hobbyist thing. Not a hobbyist thing. But what a piece of technology it is. And I'm sure the government's bought some of these too, rather than try to develop them, and is trying to outfit them. And I don't want to get into all of the theories about what they're doing with these drones, but it's entirely possible that these drones are flying. But these drones comply with all FAA regulations. They have all of the proper lighting. They also have to have something called drone ID, which means that with my cell phone, I can open up an app and I can see every drone in the sky now, because the federal government mandates that nobody flies any drone, even hobbyists, without a remote ID transmitter on it. Not only does it give you the location of the drone, but it gives you the location of the pilot too. We've fought that law for 4 years in the drone community, but it is now, all the waiting periods are gone. They are enforcing it now. And that's part of what I was going to say about why there's no mystery to so much of this drone stuff. And anybody with a cell phone can find out almost what every drone in the sky is and where the pilot's standing. And that exists. So that only leaves the government. Is the government flying these things around looking for missing nuclear material? It's a possibility. It's one of the big theories these days. Is that nuclear material that they say is missing from a power plant in New Jersey a bomb? No. Can it explode? No. Weapons-grade nuclear materials are something else. But if there is some nuclear material, yeah, having drones flying grid patterns, big drones like this, outfitted with amazing technology and infrared sensors and things that can detect heat sources on the ground, that would be a great way of doing it, and we may be doing it. Will the government admit that that's what they're doing? No, not at all. And I got a phone call here, and I got a phone call from my daughter. I'm on a live stream right now. Can you call me back? Okay, I will. Bye. Okay, she's not used to me doing live streams this late. Anyway, it's getting late. Anyway, that's the deal. That's the deal with the drones. Let me show you a picture, and then we'll get off the drone subject. of what hobbyist drones look like. That's my wall of the drones that I built. I built every one of those. And you can see the size of those drones. And my biggest drone is this drone here. That's it. And that's a big drone that's a big drone. 7-inch propellers. Does it look anything like that 6-foot monstrosity commercial delivery drone that I just showed you? No. You want to see what that is, a hobbyist drone, or the kind of drone that kids get for Christmas. And the government treats that drone with the same laws and regulations and restrictions that it treats that big 6-foot drone. That's how absurd, it is. That's how absurd it is. Anyway, I thought that you might find that interesting. So I guess I've pretty much said what I wanted to say about drones. Don't worry about it. We're not in any danger from it. Most of it is hobbyists and airplanes. And if the government's doing anything, there's a reason if they're not telling us. Because people would panic over something that doesn't require panic at all. Nobody knows the truth. But the more I hear, the more I tend to believe the reality of what I just said. All right, guys. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the chat over here. Question, Mitch, what are your thoughts on histamine tolerance? From Sherry Morgan. Sherry, I don't pay attention to that because I don't have a problem with histamines. It's becoming it seems like it's becoming a huge issue in the carnivore world. It may be, but nobody's asking me. I have only been asked one other question about histamines, and I don't know anybody that's really had a problem with them. I could be totally wrong. It's just not something I've looked into, so I can't really help you on that one. Sad to say. In my spare time, I'll try to do a little research on it and see if I can figure out if it's a real problem, so maybe I can answer that better for you. But thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. Looking for some more questions real quick, going back in the chat to make sure I didn't miss any, and then I'm going to have to wrap it up. Okay, there's the diarrhea question. Okay, I think I got them. I think I got them all. I think I got them all. There's the histamine question. Are there any questions after that? I am at 11:06. I am catching up. I have hit the bottom of the chat. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, my friends. We did it. We did it. 120 of you still here over in Rumble. Same group. 14 people watching. Let me check my phone real quick and see if I missed anybody's coffees, because I always want to say thank you to people. And no more since Sherry. So thanks again, Sherry, Lorraine Borneo, and BMAT. Always appreciate it, my friends. Always appreciate it. And so with that, I'm sure my daughter called and has some work for me to do, so I need to call her back. It is 10 minutes after 11, and late start to my day, but I'll get on with it right now. So thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, everybody. You bring in a little exit music here. If I didn't see or say hi to you, here's a blanket hello for virtually everybody I missed, and I may have missed a few in my frantic rush through the chat looking for questions. Had a good time this morning. Had a good time. Didn't have the sun in my eyes. Was able to see the computer with no trouble. So thank you all for coming. I'll give you a second to say goodbye in the chat. Keep the stream alive. Keep the chat alive for a second, and I'll have my coffee. I hardly drank any of that coffee. And I'm going to relight my cigar, and when I'm done, we'll say goodbye. With a little happy music, too. Set you off on the right course today. All right, my friends. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Back to normal. And we did have a slightly smaller crowd today, doing it at 10. We were about 30 or 40 people shy of what I normally get, but I expected that. That's fine. There's probably some early birds that can't do it at 10. And we got a few people from out west, including Sherry. It's great to see you here, Sherry. I know you can't get up at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever out there, but hopefully we'll see you in the private community tomorrow night, and we'll see you on Saturday afternoon. If you're around at 3 o'clock, maybe you'll come into the panel with us, and next Wednesday when I do this at 11 again. So, with all that being said, and all of you having said goodbye, take the rest of the day off and eat meat. And I'll get out of here.